Alright, it's been a minute since I made one of these, so let's continue. Let's get it, let's go. Alright, for the first video, this is easy. A lot of it in the beginning, like the Knuckles dialogue, could be minimized or just been removed. Some things are nice to explain, but sometimes they just don't need to be explained. People just kind of just understand, you know? Visual cues are enough for a lot of things, and especially when animation is being done and you know that animation takes forever, you're saving your time and resources by skipping stuff like that. Also, I'm pretty sure you're using an AI voice. If not, you got the best voice actors of all time. But if it is AI, good job on using one that actually doesn't sound completely soulless. The highlight of this video is obviously the part where Sonic is running around. The camera tracking is absolutely amazing in this video. In the second half of the video, I was gonna complain about the running being done way too zoomed in, and that is kind of an issue, but I'm glad you made up for it by having the camera track them all super smoothly. If there's anything you do best, it's definitely your camera work. And like I mentioned before, just make sure you zoom out a bit. And that's really the only critique I have for this video. This is a great way to begin today. 9.6 out of 10. The morphing glitching effect is absolutely the best thing I've seen in this video, and definitely one of the most unique things I've seen in a LEGO video, at least for effects. But no, seriously, it looks like you're just doing basic masking, but you're still able to make it all blend in very well. Even I would genuinely struggle to get this. But make sure when you have someone using a gun, there is some kind of recoil, and I'm glad they're using some kind of lighting to know when the guns are being shot. But you should have something like either paper or cotton, something to show that the gun is being blasted. And knowing the effects you can do in this video, I know you can do better than that. If the morphing glitching thing wasn't the best part of this video, it's definitely the 360 spin. And I feel like it would have been better if you increased the frame rate just for that shot only, but also taking way more frames. That way the whole 360 effect is way more convincing like the movie. But that does not change the fact this was still very well done. There were some difficulties in this video, but it does not change the fact this was very enjoyable. 8 out of 10. We're still going strong. There were a lot of things I would change in this video. You do suffer from the thing I used to suffer from, which is that you use, or we can say reuse, frames instead of taking new ones when someone's talking. Either by putting them on a cycle or just by keeping one frame and just making a still. It doesn't look good when you do this, and you should add more effort to figure out a better way to animate people when they speak. Also, a lot of these jokes are either reused or just have been done before in different ways. And these jokes, like Batman being violent and all that, have been executed better before. And sorry, I don't think this video has what it takes to compete against that. Because of which you have to take more original ideas and make something original out of that, since it's not fair to straight up copy someone that has done something already and better. When you compete against yourself, you're doing something that has never been done before, because of which it's way easier to get a creative result out of that. And especially in the ending of the video where they're talking about Joker, it felt too serious to be taken as a joke, like for example Batman switching up his character just for that scene, and it also felt too jokingly to be taken seriously, knowing that Batman is being a hypocrite. So in both realms it didn't really work, and the script for the video just kind of feels like it wasn't finished. You had ideas, but you still didn't flesh it out or minimize it. You can tell when this is being done when there's just some dialogue that is just not necessary. Like Batman and Nightwing were talking about going to one more place, and that was just completely unnecessary. That's only something you would add if you didn't finish a script all the way, or at least didn't review it enough times. The best way to finish a script and make it efficiently is to have bullet points on what you want to happen in the video, and then have like a different document on, let's say, Google Docs, where you write the actual script. And the script itself is basically just a written version of the bullet points with the dialogue and the directions of what's going to happen and all. That way the structure is more firm, and storylines that are not going to be necessary just are not added. It's really important to know what you need in a video and what you don't, because filler just makes the video feel way too long. Ask yourself if it would help out the story to have this, or if like it enhances the story. And if it doesn't do those, ask yourself if it helps express a character. And that's why there were some parts here where the dialogue between Nightwing and Batman was fine, because it was expressing their character. But then there were the parts like I just mentioned, them asking each other if they should go to the one last place, which they were going to be going regardless if you had that scene or not. It just really didn't do any of them. Therefore, it was just wasting the time of the audience, and that's something you should never do. Since me personally, I find it egotistical to be wasting someone's time. Also, that's kind of why I watched YouTube in 2x speed, and I have been doing so since like quarantine, so that's been a really long time. And also, I usually say this a lot in the shorts, but watch out for the framing. This video had a lot of potential, which is the only reason I'm going so harsh on it. So sorry, but this is a 4 out of 10. Alright, for this one, you could have cut down the intro because it was a whopping quarter of the entire video. And on the first kick, you could have distributed the frames differently. In the mid-air part, you added too many frames so it looked like it was slowing down. You should have rather added more frames in the ending of the landing. I like the whole move of grabbing onto someone's punches and throwing them back, but while the punches were being thrown right before, you have to make sure that people all have it. One of them, at least, has a delay when they're punching someone else. I got lost in my words for a second, but yeah. When two people fight, I believe I already mentioned this in a different video, but like yeah, when two people people fight and there is no delay, it looks like they're just practicing. And since they're Lego figures, it's harder to know what they're actually doing, so it kind of just looks like they're high-fiving. When you have a delay, it not only does it show that the characters know they're going fast, but that there's an intent on blocking. However, for the second half of the video, it looks like you really stepped up your game. Just make sure you're easing in and out, and with the moves you're pulling off, you can actually go really far. So if you're getting anything out of this video, is that watch out for how the way you ease in and out, and make sure you cut off the super long intros. 7 out of 10. I can tell that in some of the lasers, it's just overlapping over the figures that it shouldn't be overlapping on, and you should watch out for that. But those lasers themselves look really good. Make sure that when you use smoke effects, specifically when you were using the cotton, don't make it disappear too fast. Give it some time of just existing in the frame. That way it just feels more natural. But I generally love how, like, with all the effects, especially in the lasers, I like that they overexpose the frame for a second. It really makes them fit into the scene. Oh yeah, and one more thing. I noticed that it looks like you filmed this video in 2 separate times. Make sure you film on manual and check the temperature settings on the stop motion app. Click one of the ones that is not the default one and make sure you stay with that. Otherwise, if you like, let's say you film at some different time, it's gonna look different. I promise you that's gonna save you so much effort later on. Yeah, but this is still really solid. 8.5 out of 10. I didn't even mention how much of a war video this feels. Not even joking, one of the most consistent Lego series on YouTube right now has to be Dan Wick. There's a standard that's just met every single time a video comes out, and best believe this is not an exception. Just make sure that the framing has enough space for the characters. It doesn't seem like you were filming actually for this aspect ratio. Like if you're adding that afterwards, always make sure that when you have an aspect ratio in your mind, you have to film with that standard, since aspect ratios are not really something you can always just change. The video will look different depending on what aspect ratio you choose. Same way you can't make any movie just fit into like a YouTube Shorts aspect ratio. Some videos will have to be cropped, some will have to be zoomed in, and when you're cropping an aspect ratio like this, you kind of just have to watch out for like headroom and all that. Keeping this video in like a 16:9 ratio, I mean like the default YouTube, that would probably benefit you the most. And a lot of videos use this kind of aspect ratio for people to know that this video is supposed to be taken like more seriously, but the thing is that this video has a really good tone and is very well established to be more serious. And since you're good enough to do that, you don't really need an aspect ratio to tell everyone that this video is meant to be taken more seriously. And that would also give you more headroom since it looks like you're filming actually with 16:9. However, it's very clear that you still spent a lot of time with your framing and cinematography. Your camera work is still really good. That's something I just cannot take away from you. This video is just keeping up the standard with the Dan Wick series. Everything in the animation feels super fluid, and me personally, I see nothing that's going to be saying it's going downhill. Story-wise, this was the perfect place to end. The video is short, but it's definitely not short enough that would actually hurt it, enough that you just want more of it, and especially with the cliffhanger you gave this video. And yeah, this video is nothing else but a 9 out of 10. It could not have gone any lower or higher. This is exactly what a 9 out of 10 looks like. Alright, this video seems to keep up the trend I noticed this video has, which is just the camera work and the framing. The camera work in this video is very fast and flashy, and unlike what some other people will tell you, that's not a bad thing at all, because like just like the Sonic video, camera work is really good at tracking everything that's going on. So even though there were a lot of cuts and all that and the camera was zoomed in, not once was I confused on what's going on. I knew exactly who's fighting who. Just make sure that in some parts, especially when you zoom out, that the headroom is all set. A lot of people in this review have had issues of not having enough headroom. Sometimes you just have too much. It's not enough in this video that it will generally hurt you, but it's definitely noticeable. There's some parts that have too much headroom and some parts that are just a little bit too zoomed in. Also, I have no idea if you made a sequel or are going to make a sequel to this video, because the ending gave it enough space to let you choose whether you want to or not. It's mysterious enough where I genuinely would be interested in knowing what happens next, but it's also straightforward enough that I can also just kind of imagine it by myself. And also the soundtrack and editing was very well done in this video. It was minimal, but it really made this video so much better. A lot of people don't spend enough time on that, but for this video, it really helped it a lot. I was thinking of giving this video 7 out of 10, but just for like the editing and all that, it definitely gains like 1 or 2 extra points, because people just don't focus on editing the same way you do in this video. Small stuff like that can bring you a long way. So at the bare minimum, I have to give you an 8 out of 10. I could also imagine giving you something higher later on, because I see a lot of potential with you. This video is a roller coaster of highs and lows, or at least quality wise. Like the filter you added in this video, some filters for some videos just go too far, but this video did exactly what it needed to do with the filters. The sound effects were well done, but the video just felt a little bit too quiet, like it was kind of awkward. And it was probably awkward because you didn't put the effort to make everyone fight at the same time. If you're gonna have a crowd, you might as well make them all fight. When you only have 2 people fighting in an entire army, it gives the video either a lazy vibe or a very just awkward vibe, and none of them are something you really want. So even if if you don't want to straight up have everyone fighting, or at least put the effort on that, you can at least give the illusion that they're smacking each other with the swords. It really does a lot to have a video feel like it has a whole ambience and like vibe over it, and that's something you would always want in a video. And also, the framing of this video is just very well done. Everything just looks right. That's the best way to describe it. I will give you the props that the ending really did feel like a conclusion that fit this video. Even though the whole video was awkwardly quiet, you stood with it like a man in the end, and I'll give you the props that did make the video better. But for now, this is a 7.6 out of 10. This was a good amount of people for now, but there's gonna be another one, and then another one, and then another one, so I feel like we're set for now. Like and subscribe, share, and see you guys next time.